the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. Let's jump right into it. First question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, Sean. My name is Michael Harnum. I'm Chief Executive Officer of ESG. We do customer success as a service. Love this format because you found a way to turn a podcast into a race, and competitors like me love that.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. Question number 2. What's the best thing about working with a team?
I have some really strong feelings about this, and I'm very passionate about that topic. It comes down to one word, it's magic. And the magic is when a team recognizes that together they're capable of things that as individuals they're not. I summarize that as we greater than me. And I've seen examples from my son's college basketball team this year. I've seen examples from my team at ESG where I just stand back in awe and look at what the we accomplished when we is elevated to a higher plane than me.
Oh, I love that. Great example. Thank you. Well, question number 3, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I think so much in business circles back to your hiring practices, right? We went through this recently with the current season that we're in here at ESG, where we wanted to maximize our engagement. If you hire people whose baseline position, their default mode is to engage and they're biased towards action, it becomes the easiest exercise in the world. I don't have to coach them. I just have to kind of point them in the general direction and off they go. If you hire the wrong people who are more reticent and less likely to engage, there's no amount of coaching you can provide, Sean, that will get them to engage. Hire right, and this becomes a non-issue.
Great comment. Thank you. Question number 4. What other successful leaders, such as yourself, should be on my podcast?
Yeah, I really enjoy following and conversing with other leaders who lead from the front and are super visible and super engaged. So I think of people like David Sakamoto, I think of Monica Sewell, and I think of Peter Armley. Those are 3 that come to mind that are really engaged with their teams and are thinking about how they can provide thought leadership in a troubled time.
Great, thank you. Question number 5. What piece of advice would you give to other professionals who are leading teams?
I think this is a critical topic and winds up being super simple. And I would boil it down to 2 things. It's sight and it's sound. Sight, you have to be visible. You have to be out there. You have to be engaged. It has to be genuine. So scheduling one-on-ones with team members, setting up daily video calls like we did at ESG that are 15 minutes long just to touch base, calling every single customer, being on calls, having your video turned on, being visible on LinkedIn and Twitter and other platforms where people are consuming content. Be out there and be visible. That's the sight part. And the sound part is being a better listener. I mean, this is a simple one, but so many of us, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, Sean, when you're listening, but really what your brain is doing is you're trying to formulate your response to what the other person is saying. And I would argue that's not true listening. Again, I've done that a ton, where if all you're thinking about is how do I respond, that's debating. That's not listening. It's a different skill. And so the whole goal of empathy is I want to see the world through that person's eyes. And a big part of that is listening to what they're saying actively and truly and sincerely.
I love that. Thank you. Great information. Well, 6th and final question. Tell us about your first job.
My first job was a very interesting one. So I was hired by the university in my town when I was in high school to put lines on the football field all summer. And it was primarily for band camps. They hosted marching band camps there. And so I had a process that I went through. It was a couple fascinating things about it. First off, I'd never done it before. Second of all, I had no guidance and no coaching. Third, it was an independent job. I did it in open fields all summer, all by myself. And so I had a golf cart, had some fun in that. I had a big thing of paint. I had a push, kind of looked like a lawnmower, but it sprayed paint. And then I had spools of string and stakes. And so it became this kind of a complex physics problem. Like, how do I orient? I just walked into an open green field with everything that I just said. And it kind of felt Apollo 13, like you have to solve the problem with what you have on your golf cart. And that was it. And so the first couple fields that I painted, they wound up looking more like a rhombus than a rectangle. But over time, I figured it out and I got a system down. And then I got so good at it as I invested in my skills that I was actually able to look at a marker on the other sideline and not have to put a string there to follow. And I was able to eyeball it and get it reasonably straight. So I learned a lot about how to think, how to solve problems, how to work hard, because the band's coming tomorrow morning. You've got to figure out a way to get this thing done. And if you don't hear from the band director, so I was accountable to it as well. So a lot of lessons in that and a lot of fun in the sun in the middle of Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for sharing that. Very unique job that you had. That's fantastic. Well, Michael, thank you for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Michael Harnum, Harnum, and on Twitter at Harnum_Michael. The website for our company is esgsuccess.com.
Very good. Thank you very much. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast. You can get more ideas by going to our LinkedIn page at Blue Sky Business Consulting.